Welcome to the second presentation for Lesson 2 about letters and memos. So first, read Chapter 4 in your textbook. Once you've done that, we can talk about letters and memos. So let's get started. People still do use both means of communication. Letters are considered formal, and memos are better for less formal use. In a lot of places, memos are not very popular now, mainly because email has taken their place a lot of times. However, in some companies, especially larger ones that need to send out something they want to make sure everybody sees, they will send out paper memos. Business letters, being more formal, have some rules around their formats. They'll usually follow one of these 3 different formatting guidelines: a block, semi-block, or a modified block. The main difference between these formats is whether or not you indent the first word of each paragraph and where the date and closing are aligned. So here's a couple examples. I'm just going to toggle over there. This is a link on the Purdue OWL, and I will show it to you in just a minute. And I will also put it on the Lesson 2 page. This is the full block. It's completely left aligned. Everything is aligned to the left. This is the modified block. You'll see that the heading and the date and the closing are aligned to the right, and everything else is on the left. And then a semi-block where the heading and the closing are middle aligned. Sometimes you'll see the first paragraphs indented. They didn't actually indent. I'm assuming they had some sort of format problem. They said the word indent. So those should be indented. So that's the difference between some of the formats as well. Here's the link that I just looked at. Again, I'll put it on the lessons page. None of these formats is right or wrong. It's either what standard your company, or in the absence of standards, what you prefer. But with any of the formats, there are the standard parts. The heading, which I just pointed out, that's the company address or your return address. So that's where you're sending from. The date, the inside address to the recipient, that's where you're sending the letter to. The salutation, which says, in this case, "Dear Mr. Taylor," and "Dear" is fine. You see a colon after Taylor. That's the standard punctuation there. You should use a colon instead of a comma. The body, which is the meat of the letter, and then the closing with the signature and the person's name, and sometimes a complimentary closing like "Sincerely your regards." One other thing you might notice on some letters, for some reason I find this interesting, but sometimes at the bottom you'll see notations that mean different things. The first one here, the big initials followed by the smaller initials, that is a holdover from when secretaries used to have letters dictated to them and they would type them up for their bosses. So the first initials are the boss, or the person who's sending the letter, and the second set of initials are the secretary who typed it. You don't really see that much anymore because most people do their own typing nowadays, but it's kind of an interesting little kind of fossil, really. And then if there's an enclosure and a copy to send to anybody, you'll see that. Within the letter body, there are 3 main parts. There's an introduction, a main body, and a conclusion. The introduction should tell the person receiving the letter who you are, if they don't know, and why your letter is important. If, for example, on a cover letter, you're writing to someone for a job that someone said, "Hey, you should write to so-and-so about this job. I know that person, they'll help you out." Make sure that you put the name of the person who your contact is in the beginning of the introduction. So they'll know there's a personal link there. So that goes for like cover letters, or if you have special requests to make of some company, try to put that in the intro. The body then is where the most significant part of the message goes. Put the main point of each paragraph at the beginning of the paragraph, and then support it with data or factual support if necessary. And then a conclusion, thank the reader, tell them what they should do next, like contact you, email you, phone you, call someone else, whatever. Other points: use nice paper or letterhead, double space between paragraphs, and single space within paragraphs or sections. Company letterhead is best. If you don't have any, just use a nice piece of paper and type your address at the top. And then, as I said with email, proofread. When writing a letter, as with any business communication, you need to be audience-oriented. Are you getting sick of hearing that yet? Avoid commanding phrases like "I insist" or "I demand." Keep your language positive. Avoid negative words like failure or neglect. Always read the letter draft over before you send it, and put yourself in the recipient's shoes. Is this a letter you would want to get, and how would it make you feel, or how would it make you respond professionally, and how can you make it better? And speaking of negative language, it's inevitable you'll have to send some sort of bad news letter at some point in your career. Even with these kinds of letters, though, try to make them as gentle as possible. and cushion the bad news with some positives. For example, try to ease your way into bad news. If you must write a letter rejecting someone or denying service or not being able to give them what they want, try to start the letter on a positive note. Praise something about the recipient or their business or their services. Thank them for their patronage, whatever it is you need to do to make that a little softer. And you can have bad news in just about any kind of letter. The book talks about 5 different kinds of letters. There's inquiry letters. They ask for information like a sales price or information about a product you might want to buy or look into. Cover letters, obviously, we think about them with resumes, but they can also accompany any kind of other document that needs an introduction, like a report or a proposal. Special request letters ask for something out of the ordinary. They're different from an inquiry letter because inquiry letters usually ask for something routine that the recipient is used to giving or used to doing. A special request letter asks for something that may not be requested every day, might not be something that they normally see. Sales letters then persuade a reader to buy a product or service. And then customer relations letters deal with the needs or wants of a customer. This is probably the most common type of letter that will include bad news, like a follow-up to a complaint, or if you are unhappy with something, a complaint itself, or if you have to adjust someone's balance or accounts or whatever. So a lot of times you'll see the bad news in the customer relations letters. So that's letters at a very quick, rapid pace. So let's talk about memos. Now you know memos are a formal way of communicating than email, more formal than email, but they are less formal than a letter. They provide a written record of something you've communicated. I do still get memos in my English mailbox in the English department, so they're still alive and well, so it's kind of strange. Usually you can use a memo to convey one main thought or idea. Some of the purposes of memos: make an announcement, give instructions, call a meeting, change a policy. You can figure out the memo's purpose and audience and use that to develop the tone and style. A lot of times memos are a little more casual, but make sure you know your audience. Use more formal language if it's to your superiors. And for people you work with, maybe you can make it more casual if you have a relationship. Just make sure you can assess the recipient, the audience. So unlike letters where there was like 5, 6, 7 different parts, a memo has 2 parts. There's the header. Gives the information about who the document's from, who it's to, the date, and the subject. That's usually a pretty standard format: to, from, subject, date. And then the body includes the main message of the memo. In the body, memos will often have headers or bullets to organize your thoughts. You should also think of the format of the body much like the format of a business letter. There should be an introduction, a discussion, and a conclusion. Memos are usually short-ish, but they can run for a few pages if the need arises. Make sure you have a longer memo. If you have a longer memo, you've organized your thoughts well and it's easily scanned, and bullets and headings will help with that. There's some more good memo information on the Purdue OWL. I will put this link on the lesson 2 page as well, but they have some good stuff about what you include in memos and your format. So thanks for hanging in there with this discussion. I did it once and it was really, really long, so I'm trying to do it again and make it a little bit shorter. So hopefully it doesn't seem too rushed. But let's talk about your homework for the week. First, you have your lesson 2 analysis, which all of the details are already posted on the lesson 2 page in the assignment. All the grading and stuff is in there, the grading details, and the groups have already been assigned. So you should know what you're doing with that based on what's already been posted. If you have questions, let me know. Then you'll have a business letter assignment. Again, the details are on the lesson 2 page. It's been out there for a while, so you probably would have already seen that. And that's due on Friday, February 19th. The analysis will be due on Wednesday, the 17th. And then you're going to have a status check. I'll put the details on the lesson 2 page. I haven't actually quite worked out what I want you to do for that, but it won't be a real big deal. But that'll be due Sunday, February 21st. And you don't have an actual forum this week. You just have your analysis discussion. And if you guys think that you need more time for the analysis, if you'd like it to go to like Thursday, let me know. I can do that. I just didn't want to, I wanted to give you enough time to get the business letter done. So if you have any other questions, let me know. That's it for now. You can always contact me. These are the citations for the presentation. Thank you.